Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
It was a dark, rainy night in Washington, D.C. on March 29, 1867. A Russian diplomat named Baron Edward de Stockel walked to the home of the American Secretary of State, William Henry Seward. The diplomat had an important message. His government said yes to a big plan. Mr. Stockel told Mr. Seward that Russia was ready to sell a large area of land. This land was far away, in the north. It was known as Russian America, but later it became Alaska. Mr. Seward was very happy. He did not want to wait. He said, "Why wait until tomorrow? Let us make the treaty tonight." So that very night, Mr. Seward and Mr. Stockel began to work. They talked for many hours in the State Department. They worked all night to make the deal happen. By 4 o'clock in the morning on March 30, they signed a paper. This paper was a treaty. It said that the United States would buy a huge amount of land from Russia. The price was $7.2 million. This was a very low price for such a large territory, more than 586,000 square miles. It was less than 2 cents for each acre of land. When people heard the news, many thought it was a bad idea. Newspapers and many Americans laughed at the purchase. They called it Seward's Folly or Seward's Icebox. They believed Mr. Seward had bought a useless, frozen place. They thought it was a big mistake and a waste of money for the country. But this secret, late-night deal was not a mistake at all. History would soon show that it was one of the smartest land purchases ever made. This story will tell you about the surprising reasons Russia wanted to sell this vast land. It will also show how one American leader saw a future others could not. You will learn why this unknown, cold land became a very important part of America, even though many people did not understand its true value at first. 1. A big problem for Russia. Russia faced big problems in the 1860s. The Crimean War had just ended, and it was a terrible defeat for them. Their army did not do well against Britain and France. This war cost Russia a lot of money, leaving its government very poor. Their standing in the world was also greatly weakened. Tsar Alexander II received bad news from his advisors. They told him Russia had spread itself too far. One clear example was Russian America, a large land far away, now called Alaska. For over 100 years, Russia owned this territory. The Russian-American Company managed it. In earlier times, this company made a lot of money from selling sea otter fur. These furs were very valuable in places like China. But by the 1860s, the company was no longer profitable. People had hunted too many sea otters. Their numbers became very small, almost gone. The company needed constant money from the government just to operate, which worsened Russia's financial troubles. Another big worry was defending Alaska. Russia did not have a strong navy or enough soldiers far from home. If Britain, a powerful country, decided to attack Alaska, Russia knew it could not protect the territory. It was too far away and too difficult to send help. Russian officials often said that keeping Alaska was bleeding them white, meaning it was costing them too much without benefit. So Tsar Alexander II and his advisors had a very difficult decision to make. They agreed that Russia must sell this land. It was better to sell it to America, a country that seemed likely to acquire it eventually, than to lose it to Britain for nothing in a future war. The biggest question was, who would buy it, and for what price? 3. An American Dream. William Henry Seward was the United States Secretary of State. He was a very ambitious man with big plans for his country. Seward saw a future where America was a very strong global power. He believed the United States should control not just land from one ocean to another, but also land reaching from Arctic ice in the north to warmer waters in the Caribbean. His dream was for America to become a great commercial empire, especially in the Pacific region. Seward thought that controlling the Pacific Ocean was very important for trade. He wanted America to be the main country for trade with Asia. He understood that the shortest sea routes for ships going to Asian markets were in the northern Pacific. Because of this, he saw great value in the land Russia owned in North America. This large territory, which we now call Alaska, was key to his plan. It would give America a strong and important position in the far north. He believed that the nation that traded the most would become the greatest nation on earth. Many people in Washington did not share Seward's grand ideas. Other politicians, and even newspapers, thought his plans were very strange, almost like he was unhinged. They called his desire to buy new land a hobby. Some members of Congress joked that he would try to buy the moon if he could. They saw his plans as too expensive and not needed, especially after the country's difficult civil war. Most Americans were focused on rebuilding the nation and did not want to spend money on what they saw as worthless, frozen land far away. But Seward looked far into the future, decades ahead of his time. He believed that the Pacific Ocean would soon be more important for world trade than the Atlantic Ocean. He knew that owning northern lands like Alaska would give America a huge advantage for many years to come, long after current problems were gone. He was ready to work towards this big dream, even if others thought his ideas were crazy. He had a grand vision for American power that few others could see at that time. 4. The Secret Deal. Baron Edward de Stoical, Russia's diplomat, returned to Washington in early 1867. He had a big task: to sell Alaska. He knew America was tired from the Civil War, and many people did not want new land. But Stoical also knew William Seward, the U.S. Secretary of State, wanted America to grow. Seward dreamed of the U.S. controlling the Pacific Ocean. Their first secret meeting was on March 11, 1867, in Seward's office. Stoical did not waste time, telling Seward that Russia was ready to talk about selling Alaska. Seward was very happy. He had been waiting for this for years. He asked, What price would Russia accept? Stoichkov was careful, saying he could receive an offer, but giving no price. The talks had begun. At their second meeting on March 14th, Seward told Stoichkov he had talked with President Johnson. The president was not inclined to buy Alaska, but he would let Seward decide. Seward then offered $5 million, maybe $5.5 million, but no more. This was exactly the lowest price Russia wanted. Stoichkov was a good diplomat. He did not say yes right away. He stayed quiet, letting Seward's strong desire to buy Alaska work in Russia's favor. Stoichkov secretly sent a message to St. Petersburg. He thought he could get more, maybe $6.5 million, or at least $6 million from Seward. The talks continued, and Seward kept raising his offers. By March 15th, he was asking his team for permission to pay $7 million, a big increase from his first idea. President Johnson and his leaders showed little interest in the faraway land. When Seward and Stoichkov met again, Seward said his team was against a higher price, offering no more than $6.5 million. Seward also wanted to buy all the Russian-American company's property and sign the deal before Congress finished its work in April. Stoichkov saw his chance. $7 million, he said, and we have a deal. Seward quickly agreed. Both men knew they had made a big deal. Stoichkov's patience and Seward's eagerness had added $2 million to the price. For Russia, it was more money than they hoped. For America, it was still a low price for such a huge land. However, the deal was not final. It still needed approval from the Tsar in St. Petersburg. Time was short before Congress ended its session. 5. The night of the treaty. The chapter begins late on a Friday evening, March 29, 1867. Baron Eduard de Stoichkov, the Russian diplomat, received an important telegram. The message brought good news. The Tsar had approved the sale of Alaska. Stoichkov was very happy. He quickly walked across Lafayette Square to Secretary of State William Seward's home. Seward was having dinner with his family when Stoichkov arrived. "I have the power to go ahead with the Alaska matter," Stoichkov announced, full of excitement. Seward did not want to wait even a moment longer. "Why wait until tomorrow, Mr. Stoichkov? Let us make the treaty tonight," Seward said firmly. He knew they needed to act quickly before Congress stopped its work for the year. This urgency was very important to Seward. But before they could write the treaty, Seward knew he needed to get political support. He especially needed help from a powerful person in the government, Senator Charles Sumner. Sumner was the very important chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Seward sent his son, Frederick, with an urgent message to ask Senator Sumner to come to his house right away. The senator was crucial because the U.S. Senate had to agree to any treaty. At first, Sumner was unsure about buying such a cold, faraway place that many people called a frozen wilderness. But after thinking about it carefully, he understood the importance and agreed to help. He sent a note to Seward saying the Senate would proceed with the special executive business right after noon on March 30. With Sumner's agreement, Seward and two of his clerks hurried through the gas-lit streets to their offices at the State Department building. Stoichkov also came with his important papers. They planned to work all night long. The negotiations continued, even late at night. Many small details needed to be decided for the treaty. For example, they discussed exactly when Russia would get the money. They also talked about the property of the Russian-American company that was in Alaska, like buildings and tools. Seward, wanting to complete the deal, agreed to pay an extra $200,000 for these things. So, the final price became $7.2 million, which was more than the $7 million they had agreed on earlier. Clerks worked through the night preparing the treaty documents. They wrote two versions, one in English and one in French, making sure every word was correct. It was a very long session, lit by gaslights, as they carefully checked every part of the agreement. Finally, at 4 o'clock in the morning on March 30, 1867, the treaty was ready. Secretary Seward and Baron Stockel signed the document, making the deal official. This all-night effort, driven by Seward's strong vision, truly made history for the United States. 6. A country says no. The news of the Alaska Purchase quickly became public, and the reaction was swift and very negative. Many people across the United States were not happy about it. They believed buying this large territory was a huge mistake. Newspapers and politicians alike started to make fun of the deal. They created several mocking nicknames for the new land. One very popular name was Seward's Folly, meaning it was a foolish or silly plan by Secretary of State William Seward. Another common name was Seward's Icebox, as people believed Alaska was just a cold, icy place with no real value. Some also called it Andrew Johnson's Polar Bear Garden, joking about the president and the icy land. The New York World newspaper even called it a sucked orange, suggesting it had no good left. There were several strong reasons why the American public felt angry. First, the cost was considered extremely high. The government agreed to pay $7.2 million for the land. This was a huge amount of money in 1867, equal to hundreds of millions of dollars today. Many people felt that this money was simply wasted on empty land. Second, the country had only recently finished the long and costly Civil War. The nation was exhausted, had many deaths, and needed to rebuild. People believed the government should spend money helping its own citizens and fixing problems at home, especially in the damaged South, instead of buying faraway territories. Third, most Americans knew very little about Alaska itself. They imagined it was a completely useless, frozen wasteland. They thought it was only ice, snow, and rocks, full of polar bears and walruses, with no valuable resources or future. They did not see any good reason to own such a cold, distant place. Its potential wealth, like gold or oil, and its important location were not clear to them at all. This strong negative public opinion made it very hard for the treaty to be fully approved. 7. The fight for the money. The treaty to buy Alaska was signed, but the fight for the money was far from over. First, the U.S. Senate needed to approve the agreement. Many senators, like the public, thought buying Alaska was a bad idea. They had heard mocking names like Seward's Folly. Senator Charles Sumner, a key leader in the Senate's Foreign Relations Committee, was at first doubtful. He was a smart man who liked to study. He decided to learn everything about Alaska. For weeks, Sumner read maps, journals, and over 100 books. He studied the land's resources and potential. Sumner found that Alaska had many valuable things. Its waters were full of fish. Its large forests could provide wood for the country. There were also signs of gold, copper, and coal. He also understood that Alaska was important for future trade, as it was on the shortest route across the northern Pacific Ocean to Asia. Also, if America did not buy Alaska, Britain might take it, which would give Britain more power in North America. On April 8, 1867, Senator Sumner spoke to the Senate for 3 hours. He shared his research, telling senators about Alaska's geography, resources, and importance. His speech helped senators understand the true value of Alaska. The next day, April 9, 1867, the Senate approved the treaty by a vote of 37-2. This was a very strong approval. However, the fight was not finished. The House of Representatives still had to approve the payment of $7.2 million. The House was not happy about the large cost. They thought the price was too high, and they did not like how the deal was made. Also, the country was busy with other problems, like President Andrew Johnson's possible impeachment. Baron Stokel, the Russian diplomat, became worried as the payment deadline came closer. His government expected the money. He decided to pay people to help get the House to vote yes. He hired a former senator, Robert Walker, to lobby for the payment. There were also strong rumors that other payments were made. Some reports suggested that up to $200,000 of the purchase price was used as bribes and lobbying fees. This money reportedly went to congressmen, journalists, and other political workers to ensure their support. President Johnson later said that Secretary Seward told him about payments to 10 congressmen and various newspaper editors. This part of the deal was very controversial and was talked about for many years. Finally, after more than a year of debate, on July 27, 1868, the House of Representatives voted to approve the money for Alaska. The vote was 113-43, with 44 members not voting. Even with the controversy, the money was approved. On August 1, a check for $7.2 million was officially made out to Baron Stokel. This completed the payment for Alaska. The land had officially become part of the United States on October 18, 1867, in a ceremony in Sitka, even though the money was still being processed. 8. A smart buy. History later showed that William Seward was very smart. Many people laughed at the purchase of Alaska in 1867. They called it Seward's Folly or Seward's Icebox, believing it was a useless, frozen land. But Seward's vision proved correct. America greatly benefited from his bold decision. Just decades after the purchase, a great discovery changed everything. In 1896, much gold was found in Alaska. This was the Klondike Gold Rush. Thousands went there to find riches. The value of this gold was far more than the $7.2 million paid for the land. This helped silence many critics. However, discoveries did not stop there. In the 20th century, even bigger treasures were found. Massive amounts of oil lay deep under Alaska's ground. The Prudhoe Bay oil field, found in 1968, held billions of barrels. Money from this oil alone paid for the purchase thousands of times over. Alaska also had valuable forests and rich fishing areas, bringing in billions yearly. Beyond its natural wealth, Alaska became very important for military reasons. Its location made it a critical strategic asset. During World War II, Alaska helped protect the United States from Pacific attacks. Later, during the Cold War, it was a key place for defense. Being close to Russia, it served as an important military base. Its position gave America a strong hold in the Northern Pacific, as Seward had imagined. So, the land once called a worthless, frozen wasteland became an enormous success and a crucial part of the United States. The 2 cents per acre seemed like too much money in 1867, but it was an incredible bargain. The Alaska Purchase is now seen as one of the smartest land deals in history. It teaches about looking far into the future, even when others cannot see possibilities. Seward's vision transformed a public joke into a national treasure of immense value. If you were an American in 1867, would you have supported the purchase of Alaska or called it Seward's folly too?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.